Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are walking into a minefield.
That's a good way to put it.
We are tackling a subject that I think has caused more arguments at dinner tables, in internet forums, and probably even in relationships than, I don't know, politics or religion.
Oh, easily.
We are talking about the man with the billowing black robes, the greasy hair, and the most questionable teaching methods in the history of education.
We are talking about Severus Snape.
Severus Snape. And, he's arguably the most complex character study in the entire Harry Potter series.
Maybe in all of modern fantasy literature, honestly.
Yeah.
And you are so right about the arguments. There is this long-standing, fierce debate among fans that it hasn't died down, not even decades after the final book was released.
Not at all. It's still raging.
And the question is always the same. Is Severus Snape a tragic hero who sacrificed everything for love?
Or is he a petty, vindictive monster who tormented children?
Exactly, and people usually fall hard on one side or the other.
Oh, there is no middle ground. You're either, wearing a Snake was a saint t-shirt.
Or you think he belongs in Azkaban right next to the Dementors.
Right. But our mission today for this deep dive, it's a little different. We're not here to pick a side.
No, that's not the goal.
We are here to explore the gray, because the reality and the material we've been analyzing all week really suggests this heavily, is that he isn't one or the other.
He's both.
He is both, simultaneously.
And that's the paradox we need to unpack. We have a really comprehensive breakdown of Snape's timeline here. It goes from his rather lonely childhood in Cokeworth all the way to his final moments in the Shrieking Shack.
And the goal is to look at, 5 specific reasons he is objectively bad.
Right. And when we say bad, we mean moral failings that are just. They're very hard to just.
And then on the flip side, 5 specific reasons he is objectively good. I love this structure. It's like a moral scoreboard. But before we get into the points, I think we have to just acknowledge how polarizing he is. Why do you think he elicits such strong reactions? I mean, Voldemort is the villain, right? But people don't argue about Voldemort. He's just evil.
Yeah.
Snape is different.
Well, I think it's because Snape is realistic.
Realistic?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of us haven't met a dark wizard who's, bent on immortality and racial purity.
Hopefully not, no.
But almost everyone has met a teacher who bullied. Almost everyone has met someone who could not let go of a high school grudge.
That's a really good point.
And conversely, almost everyone understands the pain of unrequited love or loss. Snape embodies these very human, very petty, and also very tragic elements that, they resonate with our actual lives.
So he triggers our own memory.
I think so.
All right, well, let's trigger some trauma, shall we? Let's start with the bad. And for me, the most unforgivable stuff isn't even, his Death Eater past, at least not initially. It's the classroom behavior. We have to start with his treatment of Neville Longbottom.
This is always the first point brought up by critics, and for very good reason. It goes so far beyond just strict.
Oh, yeah. People try to defend him with that. Oh, potions is dangerous. He had
to be strict to keep them safe. But that argument just doesn't hold water when you really look at the specifics of how he treated Neville.
Not at all. I mean, strict is yelling at a kid for running with. Strict is not. It's not what Snape did. The material we have highlights that Snape tormented Neville Longbottom to no.
And we don't mean physical torture, like the Cruciatus Curse. We're talking about something else.
Psychological. He targeted this boy who was already so incredibly insecure, so awkward, struggling with the weight of his family legacy.
A legacy he couldn't possibly live up to at that age.
And Snape just hammered him with sarcasm, with threats, with pure malice.
And we have to look at the evidence of the trauma this caused, because it's irrefutable. We just have to think back to The Prisoner of Azkaban, the Bogart lesson in Lupin's class.
Oh, the Bogart. This is the smoking gun for the anti-Snape art.
It really is.
For those who might need a quick refresher, a Bogart is a shape, and it takes the form of your worst fear. Whatever terrified you the most, that's what pops out of them.
Exactly. And you just have to look at the other kids in that room. You have Harry, whose parents were murdered by Voldemort. You've got Ron, who is terrified of spiders.
Right, and then you have Neville.
Yeah.
And the context for Neville is so important.
It is. His parents were tortured into insanity by Bellatrix Lestrange.
He knows what true darkness looks like. He's seen what real evil can do to a family.
So you'd think his greatest fear would be Bellatrix, or maybe even Voldemort himself. But when Neville stepped up to that wardrobe, the Bogart didn't turn into It didn't turn into Bellatrix.
It turned into Professor Snape.
His potions teacher.
It stops me in my tracks every single time I think about it. Imagine the psychology of that. For a 13-year-old boy, the terrifying daily presence of his chemistry teacher, it outweighed the woman who literally destroyed his family.
It speaks to a daily, systematic level of fear that had completely rewired his brain.
Absolutely.
A Bogart represents immediate,
Yeah.
visceral terror. The fact that Snape occupied that space in Neville's psyche means that Neville lived in a constant state of fight or flight whenever he was in the dungeon.
He was living in terror every single school day.
It's an abuse of power that is almost impossible to defend. A teacher is supposed to be a source of safety or at least, professional authority,
Not a source of terror.
not a monster in a wardrobe.
And it wasn't just this vague scariness. It was specific, calculated cruelty. We have to look at the Toad incident. This one actually makes my blood boil a little bit.
It's one of the worst examples.
So, in a potions class, the students are making a shrinking solution. Neville, being Neville, he's struggling. He's nervous, he's messing up the ingredients, which is understandable given the teacher.
Of course, he's under immense pressure.
And what does Snape do? Does he help him? Does he, correct the mistake and teach?
No, he creates a life or death scenario for a pet.
Yeah. He tells Neville that at the end of the class, he is going to feed a few drops of Neville's potion to Neville's own pet toad, Trevor.
Just think about that for a second. The cruelty is astounding.
He explicitly says, if you get this wrong, your pet dies.
It's sadistic. I mean, there is no other word for it. He was threatening to poison a child's beloved animal as a punishment for academic failure.
He was turning the classroom into a high-stakes torture chamber.
He wanted Neville to feel that panic. He wanted him to spend the entire class sweating, thinking he was about to kill his own pet.
Can you imagine that in a real-world class? Hey, Jimmy, if you fail this math test, I'm going to strangle your hamster.
You'd be fired. You'd be arrested.
It's psychotic behavior. And the notes here point out something even worse. He gets angry when Hermione tries to help.
Yes, Hermione, being the good person she is, she starts whispering instructions to Neville to save the toad.
Right.
And Neville gets it right. The toad shrinks instead of dying, and Snape's reaction.
He takes points from Gryffindor.
He punishes her because she, and this is his phrase, spoiled the fun.
The
5 points from Gryffindor because Miss Granger just had to help you. That phrasing suggests he derived amusement from Neville's terror.
He wanted to see the toad.
Or at least he wanted to see Neville break down when it happened. The fun was the cruelty.
And the impact this had on Neville's actual education was tangible. It's not just that he was bad at potions.
No, the material is very clear on this. When Neville eventually took his potions OWL exam, the big standardized test, he actually performed very well.
He got and exceeds expectations, I believe.
He did, a very respectable grade. And why?
Because Snape wasn't there.
Snape wasn't in the room. The examiner was someone else, an impartial stranger. This proves that Neville wasn't incompetent. He was traumatized.
Snape was literally the block to his learning.
He was. It really paints this picture of a petty tyrant, someone who punches down.
And he tried to carry that bullying into other classes too, right? Like Lupin's defense against the dark arts class.
Constantly. He was always undermining Neville until Lupin finally, shut him down.
But it wasn't just Neville. I mean, as awful as that is, we have to talk about the prejudice against.
This is the second major point on the bad. And this is more complex because it involves a multi-generational grudge. But the fact remains, Snape's hatred for Harry was instantaneous.
From the very first minute. In the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry is 11.
A child.
He knows nothing about the magical world. He doesn't know who Snape is. He just walks into the classroom, sits down, and Snape is already gunning, mocking him for his fame, asking him these obscure questions he couldn't possibly know the answer.
It was projection. Pure and simple. Snape looked at Harry, and he didn't see Harry. He saw James Potter.
His high school bully.
He saw the bully who tormented him in the schoolyard 20 years ago. He saw the hair, the glasses, maybe even a perceived swagger, even if that swagger wasn't actually there yet.
That's the crazy part. Harry isn't James. Harry grew up in a cupboard under the stairs. He's humble, he's anxious, he's actually quite beaten down at that.
But Snape calls him arrogant constantly. He calls him a celebrity. He's seeing a ghost.
He was punishing the son for the sins of the father.
Which is a profound lack of emotional maturity. Snape is in his 30s at this. He's an adult, a teacher, a figure of authority.
And he is bullying an 11-year-old orphan because he hated the kid's dad.
It's pathetic, really. And it had real dangerous consequences.
Right. It wasn't just mean comments. He was constantly trying to get Harry expelled. He was yelling at Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic, claiming Harry was disobedient and a bad kid, just trying to ruin his reputation at every turn.
But the worst example, the one that I think borders on criminal negligence, has to be the occlumency lessons.
Yeah, let's talk about that. This is in the 5th year during the Order of the Phoenix, and the stakes are incredibly high.
The highest they've ever been. Voldemort is back. He is actively invading Harry's mind, planting visions, torturing him remotely.
Harry needs to learn occlumency, the art of shielding the mind to survive. It is a life or death skill.
It's not an optional elective. It's critical to the war effort and to Harry's own survival.
And Dumbledore, in his infinite wisdom, assigns Snape.
Which, in hindsight, feels like a terrible management.
It really does.
I think it was a calculated risk by Dumbledore that it backfired horribly. Snape was the only one skilled enough to teach it, perhaps.
But he was emotionally incapable of teaching.
Completely. The lessons were brutal. Snape didn't teach. He attacked. He used the lessons to humiliate Harry, breaking into his most private and painful memories.
And when Harry retaliated, when he accidentally saw Snape's worst memory, what did Snape do?
He threw a tantrum, a full-on childish tantrum.
He ended the lesson, just stopped. He screamed, "Get out, I'm done."
Think about what that means. He essentially left Harry defenseless against the most powerful dark wizard of all time because he got his feelings hurt.
He prioritized his own petty resentment over the safety of a student he was sworn to protect.
It's a massive moral failing. If Harry had been possessed by Voldemort and killed or been killed himself, that would have been on Snape.
Part of it, yeah.
So if we stopped here, if we just turned off the recording right now,
Snape is a villain. Full stop.
He's a bully, he's cruel, he endangers children, he abuses his power. There's no redeeming quality to be seen.
But, and this is the huge but, here is where it gets so incredibly, because while he is doing all of that, while he is being the teacher from hell, he is also playing a completely different
secret.
Let's pivot to the good column. Let's talk about the hidden protector.
This is the irony that truly defines his character. It's the dichotomy that makes him so frustrating and so fascinating at the same time.
It really is.
While he is bullying Harry to his face, mocking his answers and talking points from Gryffindor for breathing too loudly,
he is working tirelessly behind the scenes to keep the boy alive.
And the material points to Harry's first year as the prime example of this.
Right, the Quidditch match. I remember reading this for the first time and just being completely fooled.
Everyone.
Harry's broom starts bucking like a rodeo bull. He's dangling off the side, hundreds of feet in the air. Hermione and Ron look up to the stands with their binoculars. They scan the crowd, and who do they see?
They see Snape. He's making direct eye contact with Harry. He's muttering nonstop. He looks incredibly intense.
So naturally, given how horrible he's been in class, they assume he's cursing the broom.
It's the only logical assumption. The guy who hates my guts is staring at me and chanting while I'm about to die.
So Hermione, bless her, runs over and sets his cloak on fire.
A truly heroic move by Hermione.
It really was. But as we learn later, and as the breakdown here confirmed, he wasn't cursing Harry at all.
He was muttering a counter curse.
The opposite.
Professor Quirrell, who we know had Voldemort literally sticking out the back of his head, was the one cursing the broom. Snape was the only thing keeping Harry from falling to his death.
Quirrell even admits it later. In the climax of the book, he says something like, "I would have managed it if Snape hadn't been muttering his little counter curse trying to save you."
Think about the concentration that required. He sees another wizard trying to kill a student. He doesn't make a scene. He doesn't scream or point.
No.
He just quietly engages in this magical duel of wills, locking eyes with Harry, keeping him aloft with pure concentration. If Snape blinks, Harry dies.
And he did this while everyone around him, including the boy he was saving, thought he was the villain.
He accepted the role of the bad guy in that moment to do the good.
He had to, and it wasn't just that one moment, was it?
Not at all. Snape was on to Quirrell the entire year. He was suspicious. He confronted him in the hallways. He threatened him. He tried to figure out what his game was.
And on Halloween, when the troll was let into the dungeon as a distraction...
Right. Everyone else went to the dorms or ran towards the troll. Where did Snape go?
He went straight to the third-floor corridor.
Exactly. He realized the troll was a misdirection. He ran to cut Quirrell off from the Philosopher's Stone.
And that's when he got his leg mauled by Fluffy, the three-headed dog.
It is. That scene where Filch is bandaging his leg, Harry sees the bloody wound. Snape took physical damage to protect the school, and by extension, Harry.
He did. He ensured that Voldemort could not return during Harry's first year. It's such a weird dichotomy.
It's all baffling.
He hates the kid, but he's safe. It's like, I'm going to make your life miserable every single day, but I absolutely refuse to let you.
It's a bizarre form of protection.
So why do you think that is? Is it just duty to Dumbledore?
It's duty, yes, but I think it's more than that. It's about the preservation of a life, but specifically, it's about Lily's life. Harry is the living vessel of Lily's sacrifice.
So Snape protects the vessel.
Even if he despises the contents.
Wow, that is a great way to put it. He protects the vessel even if he hates the content. But to really understand this obsession with Lily, because that's what it is, right? An obsession.
It is.
We have to look at the relationships that shape. This brings us to part 3, the broken friendship. This section, it really encompasses both the good and the bad of Snape in a really heartbreaking way.
This is the Lily Evans story. And honestly, the beginning of this is actually... it's really sweet. It's reason number 2 on our good list. People tend to forget this part.
What's that?
Snape was the first magical contact Lily ever had. He was the one who introduced her to the entire concept of magic.
Right. We get these flashbacks in the final book. They lived in the same sort of spinning industrial town, Cookworth. Snape is this scrawny, neglected kid in ill-fitting clothes.
And Lily is this bright, popular girl, but he spots her doing magic on the playground, making flowers open and close in her hand.
And he knows what it is.
He recognized. He was her mentor, in a way. Before Hogwarts, Lily was a muggle-born girl. Her parents were normal. Her sister Petunia was, well, Petunia.
Pearl.
So Lily was the odd one out. She didn't know what she was or why she could do these things. Snape watched her, recognized the signs, and eventually he worked up the courage to introduce himself.
He explained the wizarding world to her. He told her about Hogwarts and spells and magical creatures.
But he also told her about the darker aspects, like Dementors and Azkaban. He gave her the full picture. The material says he gave her excitement about her future. Imagine being a kid and finding out you have superpowers.
And there's this one other kid who knows everything about it and wants to be your friend.
It's a crucial bond. He made it so she didn't have to face this terrifying, wonderful new world all alone. When they got on the Hogwarts Express, they were a unit. He was her anchor.
That is a beautiful thing. He gave her...
He really did.
But as we all know, this friendship didn't survive the social pressures of Hogwarts, did it?
No. They got sorted into different houses. Snape into Slytherin, Lily into Gryffindor. And Slytherin at that time was, it was basically a junior Death Eater recruitment center.
That's what it was.
And Snape fell in with a bad crowd. Mulciber, Avery, these future killers. He wanted power. He wanted to feel special because his home life was so wretched. And this ideology, the blood purity, the dark arts, it just drove a wedge between him and Lily.
And this leads us directly to reason number 2 on the
mudblood incident.
This is the moment famously known as Snape's worst memory. And watching it play out in the passage, it's brutal.
It is the breaking point. We have to set the scene. It's after their OWL exam. Snape is just sitting by the lake minding his own business. And James Potter and Sirius Black, the cool kids, the bullies, decide they're bored.
And their boredom means someone's getting hurt, so they attack.
It's 2 against 1. It's completely unfair. They hang him upside down in the air, exposing his underwear to the whole school. It's deeply, deeply humiliating.
And Lily sees this happening. She runs over. She yells at James to stop. She's trying to save Snape.
She is his best friend, his only friend, coming to his defense. And in his anger, in his humiliation, feeling so small and weak in front of the girl he loves, he lashes out.
Not at James.
No, he lashes out at her. He calls her a filthy little mudblood.
And we need to be really clear about the weight of that. In the wizarding world, mudblood isn't just a mean name like stupid or ugly.
No, it's a specific kind of slur.
It is a racial slur. It implies dirty blood. It's the equivalent of the worst racial epithets in our world. It is the absolute worst thing you can call a muggle-born witch.
And he said it to his best friend, the only person in the world who cared about it. The material notes that this was the moment he lost her forever.
You see it in her face in the memory. She just freezes.
She realizes that despite their history, he has chosen his path. He has chosen the ideology that hates people like her over the friendship that loves him.
You can't walk that back. And he tried. He sat outside the Gryffindor common room, apparently threatening to sleep there until she talked to him, but she wouldn't.
Nor should she have. What makes it so damning, as the analysis here highlights, is that he did it to save faith.
In front of the other Slytherin.
He valued his reputation among his future Death Eater friends more than he valued Lily's dignity. It just reveals this deep-seated insecurity and a toxic need for validation from the strong group.
It's just so tragic because it was pure self-sabotage. He destroyed the one good thing in his life because he was ashamed of being helped by someone he'd been taught to fear.
And that path, that darkness he chose, it led him to make the biggest mistake of his life.
The fatal mistake.
This is reason number 3 on the bad list, and frankly, it is the darkest stain on his soul. This is the act that makes him an accessory to murder.
We were talking about the prophecy.
The prophecy.
This is the moment that sets the entire 7. Without this, there is no Harry Potter story.
There really is. Snape is a full-blown Death Eater. He's young. He's hungry for Voldemort's favor. He's eavesdropping at the Hog's Head Inn during Dumbledore's job interview with Sybil Trelawney.
He hears Trelawney go into a trance. She starts speaking in this weird voice, and she makes a prophecy about a child born at the end of July who will have the power to defeat the dark.
Born to those who have thrice defied.
Snape gets caught by the bartender before he hears the second half, but he hears enough. And what does he do? Does he think about...
No. He runs to his master. He runs to Voldemort and reports it. He serves it on a silver platter.
He handed Voldemort a target. He essentially put a hit out on a newborn babe. The source material says it. Snape's delivery of the the direct catalyst for James and Lily's death.
It is. If he hadn't told Voldemort, Voldemort might never have known. He might never have gone after the Potters or the Longbottom.
And here is the morality check that makes this so damning. It's the indifference.
Yes.
When Snape told Voldemort he didn't know who the prophet's about, it could have been the Longbottoms, it could have been the Potters, and he didn't care.
He was perfectly fine with Voldemort murdering some baby as long as it wasn't connected to him.
As long as it wasn't Lily.
That is the crucial distinction. When Voldemort finally concluded that the prophecy meant Harry Lily's son, that's when Snape panicked. He realized he had just signed Lily's death warrant.
But until that specific personal realization, he felt no guilt at all.
And that is what disgusted Dumbledore. When Snape later went to Dumbledore for help, which we'll get to in a moment, Dumbledore called him out on it. He literally says, "You disgust."
Because Snape admitted he asked Voldemort to spare the mother in exchange for the son, kill the baby, kill the father, give me the woman.
It treats Lily as an object to be possessed, not a person to be saved alongside her family. It's an incredibly selfish form of love. He wasn't trying to save innocent lives. He was trying to save his person.
But that desperation, as selfish as it was, it did lead to the turning point. It forced him to change sides.
And that brings us to reason number 3 on the desperate bargain.
This is the moment the character shifts from being a simple villain to something much more complex.
Absolutely. Snape realizes he can't stop Voldemort alone. He tried begging Voldemort to spare Lily, and Voldemort basically just laughed at him. So he commits treason.
High treason. He arranges a secret meeting with Albus Dumbledore.
And let's remember the context here. Dumbledore is the leader of the opposition. He's the only wizard Voldemort ever feared.
If Voldemort found out that Snape was meeting with Dumbledore on that windy hilltop,
Snape is dead before he hits the ground. Painful death, too.
He risked everything. He met Dumbledore and he begged him to hide the Potter. Hide them all, then, he said. He finally expands his plea to include James and Harry just to ensure Lily's safety.
And Dumbledore, ever the strategist, sees an opportunity. He asked the crucial question, "And what will you give me in return, Severus?"
And Snape says that one word. That one word defined the rest of his entire life. He sold his soul, his life, to Dumbledore. He agreed to become a spy, to work against the Dark Lord, to endure the suspicion of both sides.
All for the slim chance that Lily might survive.
The tragedy, of course, is that it didn't work.
It didn't.
And not because of Snape, and not because of Dumbledore. They did their part. They hid the Potters under the Fidelius charm. But the Potters, they put their faith in the wrong friend.
Peter Pettigrew.
And they died anyway.
Imagine the guilt. You sell your soul to save the woman you love. You betray your master. You risk torture and death. And she dies anyway.
And she dies specifically because of the information you gave her.
The weight of that guilt must have been absolutely crushing.
It's a miracle he didn't commit suicide. In fact, the books imply he wanted.
He did. Dumbledore had to talk him off the ledge. Dumbledore told him, "You know how and why she died. Make sure it wasn't in vain. Help me protect what she left behind."
Meaning Harry.
Meaning Harry. And Snape accepted that burden. He switched allegiances permanently. From that night on, he was Dumbledore's man.
But even after he switched sides, even after he dedicated his life to protecting Harry on Dumbledore's orders, he could not let go of the past.
No.
He was still a bitter, petty man. And this brings us to a point that I think gets overlooked sometimes when we talk about Snape's crimes. We talk about Neville, we talk about Harry, but we need to talk about Sirius Black.
This is reason number 4 on the bad list. The grudge that killed. The analysis we have argues that Snape plays a significant active role in the death of Sirius Black.
And this is in the Order of the Phoenix. Sirius and Snape are now technically on the same side. They're both in the Order. They are both fighting Voldemort.
But they cannot stop fighting each other. The old schoolyard rivalry is still burning hot.
It was psychological warfare, and the context here is so key. Sirius Black was a man of action. He was a rebel.
But because he was a wanted criminal, he was confined to his parents' house, Grimmauld, a house he hated. It represented everything he ran away from.
So he felt trapped, he felt useless, and he was getting deeply depressed.
And Snape knew that. Snape could come and go. Snape was the spy, the one in the middle of the action. And he knew exactly where to twist the knife.
The notes here mention that whenever Snape came to the house for order meetings, he would just taunt Sirius relentlessly.
He'd tell him he was useless. He'd say things like, "While I am out risking my life, you are here cleaning out the doxies." He goaded him constantly about staying safe at home while others fought.
He was exploiting Sirius's deepest insecurity, that he wasn't doing enough, especially for Harry.
So when the crisis happened, when Snape realized Harry had been lured to the Department of Mysteries, Sirius was at a breaking point.
He was desperate to prove Snape wrong. He was desperate to be useful and to save Harry.
When the Order mobilized, Sirius insisted on going. Dumbledore wanted him to stay back, but Sirius wouldn't hear of it. And why?
Because he had to prove he wasn't a coward. He had to prove he wasn't useless, just like Snape had been saying.
So he rushed into battle, and the material says he was too eager because of Snape's taunts.
And rusty, because he hadn't been in a real duel in years.
And that combination, that recklessness and rustiness, led directly to his duel with Bellatrix Lestrange.
And his death.
Harry blamed Snape for this. He screamed it in Dumbledore's office afterward. Snape goaded Sirius about staying behind. Snape made him feel like a coward.
And Dumbledore didn't really deny it, did he?
No. The analysis suggests Harry wasn't wrong. Snape, as an adult, should have been able to put the childhood rivalry aside for the greater good.
But he couldn't. Instead, he pushed an unstable man toward a cliff.
It's so unbelievably petty. A man's life was at stake. The entire war was at stake, and he couldn't stop making snide comments because Sirius Black bullied him when they were 15.
It shows that, in some ways, Snape never really grew up emotionally. He was just suspended in his teenage trauma.
But then, just as you're ready to write him off as this petty, vindictive man-child, you look at what he was doing at the exact same time.
Right.
While he was taunting Sirius, he was also pulling off the greatest espionage act in magical history.
This is reason number 4 on the good, the triple. And this is the part that just blows my mind. We usually hear the term double.
Right.
The breakdown calls him a... What does that mean?
It's the only accurate term for what he was doing. A double agent pretends to be loyal to side A, but is really loyal to side B. Snape went a level deeper.
Oh.
To Voldemort and the Death Eaters, he claimed to be a double agent who was spying on Dumbledore. He told them, I'm at Hogwarts. I have Dumbledore's complete trust. I'm feeding you all his secrets.
But in reality...
In reality, he was spying on Voldemort for Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Pretending to be a spy who's pretending to be a loyal. The layers are insane.
The mental gymnastics required for that. I mean, think about the danger.
The danger is absolute. We aren't talking about spying on some government agent. We are talking about spying on Lord Voldemort.
The world's greatest legilimens.
And legilimens mean...
Mind reader, Clay.
Essentially, yes. Voldemort can sense lies. He can look into your eyes and tear your memories apart to find the truth. If he suspects you for even 1 second, you die. Painful.
So Snape had to look Voldemort in the eye, lie directly to his face, and hide the fact that he was actually working for Dumbledore.
He had to construct a perfectly fabricated mental fortress, and he had to do this not once, but repeated for 3 years after Voldemort returned.
Every time the dark mark burned on his arm, Snape had to apparate to Voldemort's side and perform this incredible high-wire act. And he had to
feed Voldemort real information to keep his cover. Dumbledore had to feed him real secrets to give to Voldemort's sacrificial lamb just to prove Snape's loyalty.
Imagine the stress. The cortisol levels must have been through the roof. You are sitting at dinner with the Dark Lord, Nagini the giant snake is slithering around your ankles, and Bellatrix Lestrange is staring at you.
And you have to act like you're one of them, while knowing that you're actively working to bring them all down.
It's incredible.
The material mentions that he eventually burned out from. It's a very human detail that I love. There's a scene where he basically tells Dumbledore, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yes. He says, have you ever considered that you ask too much? Has it ever crossed your brilliant mind that I don't want to do this anymore?
It shows the toll it was taking. He wasn't some emotionless robot. He was terrified and exhausted. He was looking at his own soul and seeing it tear apart.
He had to watch people die. He had to watch Charity Burbage, the Muggle Studies teacher, get eaten by the snake, and he couldn't do a single thing to save her because it would blow his cover.
That has to destroy you. Sitting there doing nothing while a colleague is murdered right in front of you.
But Dumbledore held him to the promise. He reminded him of why he was doing it.
For Lily.
And Snape stayed the course. He went back into the fire.
It is a feat of bravery that even Harry eventually had to recognize.
He did. He named his son Albus Severus and told him, you were named for one of the bravest men I ever knew.
That bravery came from his ability to lie to the devil himself for years.
Which brings us to the final point, the fifth and final reason side. And it's the reason for it all, the ultimate good that ties this messy, contradictory life together.
The motivation.
Love.
It always comes back to Lily.
It does, and the reveal is one of the most iconic moments in the entire. It's in the Deathly Hallows. Harry is looking at Snape's memories in the pensive right after Snape has died.
And he sees Snape casting his Patronus in front of Dumbledore.
And a Patronus is a spirit guardian, right? It usually reflects your personality or your inner self.
That's right. And Snape's Patronus bursts out of his wand, and it's a silver doe.
Which was Lily's Patronus.
Exactly. A Patronus can change form, but usually only due to a massive emotional shift or a great tragedy, what they call the soul shock. For Snape's Patronus to match Lily's 20 years after her death.
It signifies that his soul is still completely intertwined.
And Dumbledore is shocked. He sees the doe and he asks, after all this time.
And Snape gives the one-word answer that is on t-shirts and coffee mugs everywhere.
Always.
It's incredibly romantic, but it's also kind of obsessive. He loved a dead woman for more years.
It is obsessive. And it's a very static love. It's a love that didn't grow or change. It was frozen in amber the moment she died. But here is the fascinating strategic point the analysis made. This love was his secret weapon. Voldemort's greatest weakness, the thing he constantly underestimates, is that he does not understand love.
Right.
He views it as a pathetic human flaw, a biological error. He knows Snape loved Lily, but he assumes that because she's dead, the love is gone, or that Snape has gotten over it and moved on to craving power.
Right. Voldemort thinks, why would you still care about a mudblood who died 17 years ago? You want power, like I do.
Exactly. Voldemort could not conceive that Snape would still be motivated by that love. It was a complete blind spot in Voldemort's legitimacy. He never looked for love in Snape's mind because he didn't think it was a relevant or powerful variable.
So Snape's broken heart was actually the only thing that could shield him from the world's greatest mind reader.
It was the one thing Voldemort couldn't decode. It made him the perfect spy. Everything he did, the lying, the killing Dumbledore, the saving of Harry, the betrayal of Voldemort, was all an extension of that one unchanging love. He wasn't fighting for goodness or justice or the order.
He was fighting for Lily.
Always.
So let's step back and look at the whole picture. Let's look at the final scorecard.
Okay.
On the bad, he tortured Neville to the point of genuine trauma. He projected his hatred of James onto Harry and endangered him. He called his best friend a racial slur.
He delivered the prophecy that killed the Potters, and he goaded Sirius Black toward his death.
That is a very heavy list. But then on the good side, he saved Harry's life, starting with Quirrell.
He gave Lily the gift of the magical world. He sacrificed his freedom and life to try and save the Potters.
He acted as a triple agent under immense constant threat, and he did it all out of an undying love.
It creates this picture of a man who is deeply flawed, vindictive, unpleasant, and cruel, but who also possessed immense courage and a capacity for devotion that most traditionally good people don't have.
So the conclusion we have to reach, and the source material really leans into this, is that he is simply both.
He is both. You can't separate.
You can't wash away the bullying with the heroism. Saving the world doesn't make it okay that you threaten to kill.
No, but you also can't ignore the heroism because of the bullying. If Snape hadn't been there, Voldemort wins. Harry dies. The wizarding world falls. A nice teacher who treated Neville well but couldn't lie to Voldemort would have been useless in that war.
That's the uncomfortable truth, isn't it? The war required a monster. It required someone who could look evil in the eye and not blink. It required someone who was already broken.
I think that is the most honest reading of the character. He isn't a hero in the traditional sense. He's not Captain America. He's not Superman. He's not a nice person. If you met him at a party, you would hate him.
Oh, you'd leave the room.
But he achieved a heroic outcome through deeply unheroic means and with a deeply flawed personality.
Which leaves us with a really provocative thought to chew on. We tend to judge people by their big actions. You know, did they save the world? Did they defeat the villain?
Like big cinematic moments.
But we experience people through their small daily actions. How do they treat the waiter? How do they treat a clumsy student in their class?
And that's the central question of the Snape paradox. Does saving the world absolve you of the sin of being cruel to a child on a random Tuesday afternoon?
I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. But I think Snape, as a character, forces us to ask it. He forces us to realize that good people can do terrible things, and people we might label bad can do great things.
And that is why we are still talking about him and arguing about him all these years later. He defies the neat little boxes we try to put him.
Absolutely. Listeners, we want to know what you think. Does the good outweigh the bad? Or is he ultimately unforgiving? When you reread the books or rewatch the movies, try to keep this dual perspective in mind. Watch him bully Neville, and in the back of your head, remember he's going to die for Harry. Watch him save Harry, and remember he just insulted his father 5 minutes. It changes everything.
It makes the story a tragedy rather than just a simple adventure.
A tragedy. Thanks for diving deep with us into the mind and the paradox of Severus. See you next time.